Hello, everyone. I'm Iya Wang, and it's a pleasure for me to share my research presentation with you today. This research is part of my summer course on the Swedish model of welfare capitalism offered through UC Berkeley, where I'm currently undertaking a global internship in Stockholm. I've always been fascinated by the intersection of socio-economic factors and environmental issues. So I focused my research on social inequalities and climate change denial, a topic that's not just academically intriguing, but also crucial in today's global environmental scenario. And here's an overview of what I'll be covering today, including how to understand climate change denial, how social inequalities relate to climate change denial. Then we will take a look at the role that eco-social policies play in all of this. Then we'll see a case study focused on the Sami people in Sweden during the Greens transition. Today, we find ourselves at a critical crossroads, grappling with the mounting challenge of climate change. Yet, a significant hurdle in addressing this crisis lies in climate change denial, a phenomenon that has become alarmingly pervasive across the globe. The roots of this denial are multifaceted, involving a complex weave of psychological, political, and socioeconomic influences. However, there is one key component that often slips through the cracks of our discussion, that is social inequality. This critically important yet often overlooked factor significantly shapes our perception and response to climate change. So, today we delve into the intricacies of this relationship, untangling the complex interplay of social inequality and climate change denial. Further, we will explore a promising solution: eco social policies. These innovative policies, designed to address both environmental sustainability and social equity, could guide us through these intertwined challenges. Let's start by understanding what fuels climate change denial. This denial varies from outright rejection of the phenomenon to subtle avoidance of its implications. Psychologically, climate change is a complex issue to grasp. It's a global and long term phenomenon, and understanding it requires interpreting scientific data and models, which can feel abstract and difficult to comprehend. Moreover, the changes needed to address climate change can be intimidating, leading many to dismiss or downplay the issue as a defense mechanism. Socioeconomic factors significantly influence denial as well. Those who perceive climate action as a threat to their economic interests, such as those in the fossil fuel industries, or those who fear higher living costs due to climate policies, are more likely to dismiss climate change severity. Cultural factors also play a significant role in climate change denial. People's worldviews, political beliefs, and ideologies can affect their perception of climate change. Accepting the reality of climate change often requires endorsing regulatory policies that challenge core beliefs, especially for those with strong faith in free market capitalism or conservative political ideologies. So you may ask, where does social inequality intersect with climate change denial? Well, the answer lies in understanding how differing social strata perceive and interact with the concept of climate change. Those in economically marginalized groups, or those who perceive climate mitigation measures as a threat to their means of survival, may find themselves resorting to climate denial, viewing it as a defensive shield against perceived threats to their already tenuous existence. But the influence of social inequality doesn't end there. It further seeps into communities that have faced historical marginalization. These communities, which often shoulder the brunt of environmental injustices, carry a burden of distrust towards scientific and governmental institutions. This distrust, brewed from years of exploitation and neglect, often manifests as climate denial. Therefore, it is critical for us to see climate denial not just as an individual's refusal to accept scientific facts, but also as a systemic issue, deeply embedded in the structures of social inequality. And today, as we navigate the climate discourse, it is crucial to not lose sight of these underlying dynamics. So, how can we address these intertwined challenges of climate denial and social inequality? Well, a promising avenue lies in the realm of eco-social policies. According to Mandeli 2022, these policies simultaneously address ecological sustainability and social equity. Eco-social policies range from ecocentric ones, primarily focused on environmental sustainability with secondary social benefits, to transformative policies aimed at radically restructuring societal systems to inherently promote eco-social sustainability. These approaches go beyond treating the symptoms and instead address the root cause of climate denial and social inequality. Let's look at a concrete example. The Sami people in Sweden. Despite being the indigenous people of Sweden with unique ways of life linked to reindeer husbandry protected by international human rights instruments and national law, their rights were overlooked in the green transition. The development of wind energy projects on their traditional lands adversely affected their livelihood. This led to a surge in lawsuits where Sami reindeer herders oppose wind energy developers, revealing a significant blind spot in sustainable development discourse. This case study underscores the importance of a holistic approach in our transition to sustainable development. It is not sufficient to simply focus on reducing carbon emissions or adopting renewable energy. We must also ensure that these efforts do not unfairly impact certain groups or communities. To wrap up, it's crucial to underline that understanding and tackling climate change denial is not a straightforward task. It necessitates a comprehensive and multifaceted approach that factors in a range of elements from psychological to socioeconomic, and crucially, the aspect of social inequality. And this is where the potential of eco-social policies shines. They are uniquely positioned to navigate this complex landscape, promising to address social disparities and climate denial simultaneously. The idea here is not just treat the symptoms of climate change denial, but to go right to the source, addressing systemic inequalities that fuel this denial. Indeed, we need further research to fully grasp the nuanced interplay between social inequality and climate change denial. However, what is clear is that our path forward lies in innovative, holistic solutions like eco-social policies. They hold the potential to create resilient, inclusive societies that are not just equipped to acknowledge the reality of climate crisis, but are also empowered to actively engage in the fight against it. As we move forward in addressing the global climate crisis, a critical fact that we must keep at the forefront of our minds is that climate change affects everyone, but it does not affect everyone equally. The harsh reality is that the poorest and most marginalized among us bear the heaviest burden, and these are the communities often hit first and hardest by the effects of climate change, despite having contributed the least to its causes. In our quest for sustainable solutions, we run the risk of oversimplifying the narrative. And it is crucial that we don't reduce the green transition to just a technological shift, but recognize it as a complex socio political issue. And when we talk about a shift to renewable energy or introducing sustainable practices, it's not enough to just focus on the macro perspective. We need to delve deeper and take into account the micro realities, especially the impact on marginalized communities. The green transition cannot be just about swapping out energy sources or technologies. It has to be about building a more inclusive, equitable, and just society. We need to ensure that our policies, our actions, and our discourse reflect this imperative. We must make it our mission that in this shift towards a sustainable future, no community, no matter how small or marginalized, is left behind. So our goal must be not just a green transition, but a just transition and a just future. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation today, and please feel free to email me if there's any questions.